right, third graders, we're going to start addition this week, and we're going to work on adding all the way up to our thousands place. So you're going to see numbers that will carry on into your thousands, but we will not go past our thousands place. So this is our math interactive notebook, and I just want to show you how to organize, and then I'm going to work the pages that I sent home with you this week for addition. So let's go to our table of contents. So far this year, we have worked on our numbers and operations in base 10. We are still under that heading, that standard. We worked on place value first with our standard, expanded, and word form. We worked on rounding to the tens and hundreds. You will be taking a rounding test the next time I see you. And I used pages 9 through 13 to work on my rounding. And now we're ready to move on to adding. So on our next insert, our next standard that we're putting still in numbers and operations is going to be adding within 1,000. Now I'm going to add a comma there so we know that that's 3 zeros behind it. That is our 1,000. We will not have any addition problems that go over this thousands place. Now in my notebook, I'm starting on page 14. And I'm planning on ending on page 18. Now I have left a blank page, which is page 18, for any addition notes that I see that we may need. We may or may not use that page, but I'm going to go ahead and have that. So that's your table of contents. So make sure you adding within 1,000. And whatever page number yours begins on, put that number and give yourself about 5 pages for your adding. All right, so let's go to page 14 next. Hopefully all your page numbers are labeled. Okay, so this is my first sheet. Now you got duplicate copies of this. As you can see, my page 14 looks identical to my page 15. The reason that we did this is because I'm going to actually show you 2 ways to do your addition. The first way is by using your place value. We're going to call this place value addition. Now when you get into 4th grade, it's going to be called partial products. But here in 3rd grade, we're going to call this place value addition. And then of course, I want to show you what I call the old school way, which is the way that your parents were taught. This is also the quickest method on adding. You were also taught this in 2nd grade, but maybe not with numbers so high. So this is page 14. You're going to want to cut out and glue down your standard, which says I can add and subtract within 1,000 by using place value strategies. So that is why I have to show you the place value addition, because that is your standard. You are going to have questions on your state test where you're going to be required to do an addition problem using place value. And relationships between addition and subtraction. Of course, we're using addition at the moment. We'll get to subtraction next week. So then you're going to want to glue down your 4 problems. Now, this may not be the order that yours are in. Just make sure when I'm working a problem that you are looking at those numbers. Now, when you glue these down, we want them to be tabs. So the only place I put glue is on this top tab. That way we can fold it up, work our problem, and then fold it back down. So you can come back to these and use this for studying for test purposes. You can come back to these tabs and rework them on a piece of notebook paper and then flip it over and check to see if you did it right. So we're going to go ahead and work through these. If you need to pause the video so you can get everything glued in, go ahead and do that. Again, this is page 14. Now we're going to be doing our addition using our place value strategies. When you're using place value, you want to pull each number out using our expanded form, what we learned when we did our place value unit. So we're going to start with our hundreds. Let's take this top number, and the first thing I notice is I have a 2 in the hundreds place. So under here, I'm just going to pull that number apart using my expanded form. So we had a 200 plus, in the tens place, we have a 5, so that's going to be plus 50. Plus, in our ones place, we have a 4. So that's 200 plus 50 plus 4. That's my first number that's on top of the plus sign. And we're going to just put equals next to that, and you'll see, well, now let's not put equals yet. We'll put it in equals at the end. Now let's pull out our second number. Our second number is 216. So that means we have another 2 in the hundreds place, plus that 1 in the tens place gives us a value of 10, plus 6. So this is what our problem looks like in expanded form. Now we are going to get a total of these, so we're going to put our plus sign out here, and I'm going to draw my line. Okay, so now we're just going to add them up. 4 and 6 is 10, plus 50 and 10 is 60, plus 200 and 200 is 400. Now the reason for this, I know that especially if your parents are watching this, they're like, why are we doing this? The reason is because you can do these addition problems mentally. If you can separate it mentally into your place value, then you can add them mentally together, which makes your addition even quicker. So with all these zeros, it's very easy to start putting them together. I know that I have 2 sets of 10s here. I need to put those 10s together. So 60 and 10, of course, gives me 70. And then put 400 with that 70, and we know our answer is 470. That is how we're going to add these using our place value. So expanded form, put your hundreds, your tens, your ones, and then see what you can combine. Since we had 2 groups of tens, we can combine those, and then just simply put our hundreds in there. So 254 plus 216 would be 470. Okay, let's go to our next one. Same thing, we're going to separate these digits using our expanded form. So our first number is 453. So I'm just going to open my tab, and I'm going to write that in expanded form. So that's 400 plus 50 plus 3. There's my top number. The next number is 241. So we're going to expand that. 200 plus 40 plus 1. Now we need to combine all of our hundreds, tens, and ones together. So that's going to look like this. 3 and 1 is 4. Plus 50 and 40 is 90. Plus 400 and 200 is 600. Now we don't have any combining to do, so we're just going to push them back together just like we would if we were taking an expanded form number and creating a number. So I have 6 in the hundreds, 9 in the tens, and 4 in the ones. So 453 plus 241 is 694. Now, I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to work the bottom two. I would like for you to try those on your own. If you have questions about them or you want me to check them, I will do that the next time that we meet together. Now, I want to come over to the duplicate page. So on page 14, you're doing expanded form. You're adding those numbers by place value, expanding them, and then putting your ones, tens, and hundreds together. Okay? Same exact problems on page 15. So you're going to glue your title down again, your standard. You're going to glue down your tabs so that you can open and fold them just like that. And this time I want to work them, but I want to work them as I call the old school way, which is the way your parents would have been taught. And it's probably how you were taught in 2nd grade also. It is quicker, but you cannot really do this mentally because of the regrouping step. So let's just look at this one. So again, that was 254 and 216. We're going to do this what we call the old school way. Now notice I kept this top row blank because that's for our regrouping. Now if you remember when we did our expanded form with our place value, that I ended up with a 10 in the ones place. And then I had to put my tens together. Well, the same thing's fixing to happen, except we're going to be regrouping that 10 over to the tens place. So you've got to imagine your addition problems as if there's a wall that has been built between each of your place value. And you can't cross over that wall unless you have 10. So I have to have at least 10 ones to cross over into the tens column. I have to have at least 10 tens to cross over into that hundreds column. So keep that in mind. Imagine those walls between there, and it takes 10 before you can climb over. We always start in the ones place. Now, the number one problem that I see on addition in third grade is students wanting to start in the hundreds. Never, ever, ever start in the hundreds place because you don't know whether you're going to have to regroup or not. You always start in your lowest place value. So 4 plus 6 we know is 10. Now when I put down 10, I only have room in the ones place for the ones digit. And in the number 10, you have a 0 and a 1. Only one of those can fit. And of course it's the 0 because the 0 is in the ones place. Remember what I said? If you get 10, you can cross the wall. So we just built 10, so we need to carry that 10 over, of course, to the tens place because that's what it's worth. It's worth 10, so it goes the tens place. Now look at your tens column. You now have a 1. I always circle, and I want to encourage you to circle the numbers you carry over. Why? It's so you don't forget they're there. Another mistake that I see is we carry it up and then we never use it. If you carry it up, circle it so you can remind yourself, oh, there's a 1 up there I need to add. So in our tens column, we have 3 digits now. We have the 10 that we built from our ones place. We have the 50, and we have another 10. 1, 5, and 1 gives us 7. So we have 7 tens in our tens column. 7 fits, it's by itself, so there's nothing to carry to the hundreds. So still in our hundreds, we have 200 and 200, which we know gives us that 400. So 470, which is the same thing we got here, using place value, expanded form, and using old school method with regrouping, we still get 470. Okay, moving on. Let's try this one. Now, if you remember over here, we did not have anything to combine with our place value. So that tells me I should not have anything to have to regroup. So we have 453. I'm still going to give myself room up there if for some reason I forgot and I do have to regroup. I'm pretty certain we won't. But in case, I'm going to give myself that top row to carry up. With addition and with numbers this big, it is so important for you to be super neat with your handwriting. So again, we have to start in the ones place. Remember, there's a wall here that we're building up. You can only carry across that wall if you have 10 or more. 3 plus 1 is 4. There's no reason to regroup because I only have a ones number, a 1-digit number. 50 and 40, of course, is 9 or 90. Nothing to regroup. Boy, it got close, but we don't have 10, so we can't regroup. And 400 and 200 is 600. So my answer again is 694. There was no regrouping here because I did not have 10 or more. Just like over here. 694, 694. Both methods work fabulously. My issues that I have with the old school way, the problems, and I'm fine with you using the old school way unless the problem specifically tells you to use place value. My issues with the old school way is there are lots of mistakes that third graders make. 1, they try to add from the hundreds place first. That's a big no-no. You always start in your ones place. 2, they forget to regroup and add what was regrouped. That's why, again, I tell you to circle it. If you'll do those things, then the old school way is perfectly fine on adding. Your book is going to use both. I will use both. Your book and your iReady lessons, though, are going to be geared toward this expanded form place value addition, just because it's least likely that you're going to mess up on your regrouping. And also, when you're doing your place value, if you happen to start in the hundreds place, it's not going to mess up your answer. If you start in the hundreds place on this problem, it's going to make your answer wrong. Okay? So make sure that on the old school way that you're starting in the ones and you're circling anything that you have to carry over or regroup. So I've left the 4 problems on the bottom for you to do. Remember, on page 14, I want to see it in expanded form. I want you to add them using place value. And then on page 15, or whatever your page number is, remember they may not match, that's okay. And on page 15, I want you to add using the old school way. And I will tell you, both of them will have some regrouping because you're going to get more than 10. So make sure you're starting in the ones place and you circle whatever you regroup. Okay, if you have questions on either, let me know. All right, let's move on. You got a third page that actually has 2 pages that go together. And one of them looks like this. The only thing you'll need to do is just trim that outer edge and glue this down. This is a word problem with your adding within 1,000. This is on my page 16, as you can see. Then you got a page that had a bunch of circles with pencils in it. It had the same exact word problem that you see over here. Now, you are not going to use all of those circles or pencils. You're only going to use what you need to build the number. So I want us to look at this page. This is my 17 first. So the first number in our problem was 321. So I'm just going to circle that. Okay, 321. So what I did is I built this number using my place value. I cut out 3 hundreds circles because there is a 3 in the hundreds place, so there's my 300. I cut out 2 tens circles because there was a 2 in the tens place, so there's my 20, 320. And then I cut out 1 pencil because there was a 1 in my ones place. So this is the picture for my 321. Again, you may pause the video and do your cutting and gluing as I go over it. Your second number is 211. So I built that number again using those place value. So we needed 2 hundreds to build 200. We needed 1 10 and 1 1. So that's 211. An 11 is made out of a 10 and a 1. So this is what those 2 numbers would look like if I built them with my place value expanded form. Then I could easily count and put my hundreds together, put my tens together, and put my ones together to figure out what our answer is. So we're going to use this to help us. So get that cut and glued down to build your numbers. Now I'm going to go over here. If you need to pause to get those cut and glued, go right ahead. First, we're going to work through our word problem. When doing a math word problem, you always want to find that question. The question tells you how to solve your problem. So let's take our pencil and let's underline our question. It says, how many pencils did they buy in all? Well, in all is a clue word. I'm going to box it out. I love in math word problems to locate clue words. If you know your clue words, you can work any kind of math problem. In all means I need a total. I need to put something together. And we're putting pencils together, so this is going to be an addition problem. So the first question I have to answer says, what is the problem asking? It's asking us, how many pencils did they buy in all? There's my question. So we're going to write our question here in the box that says, what is the problem asking? It's asking us to figure out how many pencils were bought in all. Draw a picture. Okay, so on my picture, I'm going to draw out my pencils, just kind of like we did over here, but we're going to use base 10 blocks to draw them. So let's draw our 321. That means I need 300s. Those are my big squares. Okay. I need 20. Those are my sticks. And I need 1, and that's my little bitty cube. So that would be 321. Now I need 200. My second number. 11, so that's 1 10 stick and 1 1. There's my picture. Then we would easily put those hundreds together, tens together, and our ones to figure out how many pencils were here totally. So let's write our number sentence. Our number sentence is going to look like this, just like when you're writing a sentence. We have sentences in math. It's going to be 321 plus 211 equals, and then that's where we're going to need to put our problem together. So let's count our hundreds, tens, and ones. How many hundreds do you see in this picture? 5. How many 10 sticks? 3. And how many ones? 2. So we're going to do that just like that. We're going to put our ones together. You told me there were 2 ones. We're going to put our 10 sticks together. You told me there were 3 10 sticks. We're going to put our hundreds together, and you told me there were 5 hundreds. So there's our number sentence. You have to have an equal sign. You have to have an operational sign. We know it's adding because our question said in all. So our answer, of course, is 532 pencils in all. And we could make that a sentence. We probably need to put there are 532 pencils in all. How did you solve the problem? Easy. We put our hundreds together, our tens together, and our ones together. And that's how we solved it. We combined our hundreds, our tens, and our ones. Oop, not one, ones. Okay, and that's how you're going to work the word problem. Okay, you can go back and rewatch this if you need to. Now I'm leaving page 18 for notes. If I see that we need some extra practice on addition, we'll do that here. We may put some vocabulary here. So just leave that last page on addition blank. So in your interactive notebook, you should have a picture for our word problem, the circles. You should have all of your charts for adding filled out for the word problem. You should have the old school addition method on this page. And you should have your place value adding, where you're pulling each place value apart using that expanded form on adding. And that's your addition in your interactive notebook. All right.